All right, welcome everybody. My name is Steve Edwards, the CEO here of Premier Virtual. Appreciate you all jumping on this call. I like to get started as close to on time as possible. I'm an Army guy, so I always got taught if you're 15 minutes early, you're late. So we want to make sure we're getting started. So, we have a great webinar today. Every month we put on a webinar really to help our clients out with best feedback from other clients as well, to really, give back. Well, this month we're doing something a little bit different, but this is more for you and what we're getting asked a lot from our clientele. So we brought a lot of our partners on today that we work with in, one capacity or another, to be able to help you, to give back to our clients that they can have. So I'm going to hand it over to John Garcia, our Director of Marketing, so he can introduce the webinar as well as all of the wonderful panelists that are here today. So John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Steve. And yes, today is very different for us. And the reason is most of our clients ask us for help with marketing. And outside of maybe a few press releases that we've helped some of our clients out, we don't really get involved with the marketing of your events. But obviously, if no one shows up to your events, it's not going to be successful. So what we wanted to do today is you hear it right from the professionals that we work with. These are the people that help us every single day get our message out. And they've been kind enough to join us here today. And they'll introduce each other themselves one by one as we move forward here. And one thing I also want you to know is they put together a webinar only offer or special. So if you do decide you want to take the next step and hire, any of these professionals, I'm going to send, everybody will receive this entire presentation in an email tomorrow and an entire replay. So you'll have all of their contact information and the special offers that we're going to talk about today. We have no vested interest in this at all with any of these vendors. What we do is have a vested interest in our clients and the success of your events. We hear your challenges, you're trying to get attendees to the events, and really these are some proven tactics, really efficient and effective ways that'll help you drive attendance and engagement. So it's not just them getting there, but them being involved, sharing it, and getting a lot of value out of the hiring events. So that's the introduction. Now, I just want to mention, we're going to talk about some basic tactics, but this morning we had 113 people registered, and with an email we sent out and a couple posts on LinkedIn, we're up to about 160 people registered. And my point is, for your events, there's definitely some day of event tactics, right? And there's things that go on throughout the life cycle of the event and even post-event. That we're going to share some of these things with you guys today. So I want to go ahead and get started, and we'll introduce our panel first. I'm just going to go from left to right, and you can just your name, your company, and kind of just what you do there. So my top left is Krista.
Yeah, my name is Krista Mallard, and I am a senior account executive with Engaged by Cell. We are a mobile technology company, umbrella company. We provide a lot of different mobile engagement solutions to different industries. Today, I really want to focus on our text messaging and mobile apps and how that can help you drive attendance to your virtual events.
Thank you, Krista. And Krista, our companies both have mutual clients. And we've really seen, how effective it's been to add this text messaging to drive attendees. Cindy Metzler.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Metzler. Thanks, John. Happy to be here. My company is called O Media. We've been around for 20 years. We do public relations and marketing, and I'm excited to be sharing some best practices. I think that with virtual events, obviously, as John said, before, during, and after from a PR perspective is really valuable, and just getting the word out. And hopefully some of the things will be great takeaways for you to use in your businesses.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cindy. Mark, if you don't mind, introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Mark Rifkin. I am in the business development category over at DigDev Direct. We are one of the largest data compilers in the United States, specializing in multi-channel, multi-touch campaigns, driving very hyper-targeted traffic back to our clients.
And Mark will be talking today about email marketing, which is super important for everybody, and fancy new, well, not new, but new to some people, geofencing. So thank you for joining us, Mark. Ray?
Hello, my name is Ray Bryant. I'm the CEO of Think Big Websites. We are a proud partner with Premier Virtual. We are a digital marketing company specializing in website design and Google and Facebook PPC. And today I have John, who is the expert in that category, who's going to share a little bit of tactics and strategies in that regard. We're proud to be here. Thank you, John.
I'll just jump right in after that. Yeah, I'm John Kaye. You probably see me as John Marketing. I do a lot of PPC advertising for, like John said, Premier Virtual, as well as a lot of other clients. I used to work as an agency consultant for Google. So I have a very extensive background in paid advertising across search engines as well as social media platforms.
All right, excellent. So for the 80 something or so attendees that are on the call right now, I hope you can, the scope of this and the professionals that we have here really, it is kind of unprecedented. So let's definitely take advantage of it. The chat box is open for Q&A. Are you guys seeing my screen right now?
Yeah. Hey,
Yes.
John, can I introduce myself?
Oh my God, Francine, I'm sorry. I didn't see you on the screen. I'm sorry.
It happens. Welcome to the technology, right? We love it.
Yeah.
But anyway, good morning. Well, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Don't get anxious, get prepared. I am Francina Harrison, the career engineer, and I'm the career re-engineering coach here today. So hoping to bring value to share with how you can make sure those candidates that you're looking to get in front of, the added value you can bring to your event by having some things that I can share that makes, of course, my phone would ring in my introduction, right? To make sure that they show up and that they go to your, be a part of this fair and to be successful.
I love all of our vendors, all of our guys really take care of us. Francina, though, is going to add something to this that really is really special, because it's about offering value to the attendees that come to your event. Let's say even if they don't get hired, to get a career coach, to get someone to review their resumes. These are things also that are marketing because they attract more people to your events. So don't discount that at all. Francina, you're my show closer, so stick around. So are we seeing this slide with my virtual community? Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to get started, guys. So again, you don't need to take notes, but we got about 50 minutes. We got a lot to cram in. So let's pay attention. My virtual community is a new website we started. We're very excited about it because it's going to be very organic. It's going to be a lot about information. We really want to make it a community of recruiters and staffers and anybody who has to do anything with hiring, and really share best practices and share ideas and share successful, tactics that have worked for you. So it will be in the show notes. Definitely part of my virtual community is we're going to have an event calendar. So we're going to start promoting all of our events as well on another website. So and this tool is absolutely free. So you take advantage of it. I'm going to show you how to get the information to us so that we can promote it on my virtual community. So there's an absolutely free resource. Now, Job Fairs In is part of this webinar today. And if you're not familiar with them, they are, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, the largest job fair board on the internet. They've been around, I think, over 10 years. And so another great resource, and I believe for $15 or $25, you can post your event on their board. And you're talking about reaching hundreds of thousands of people in the job market, which is part of why this is so challenging for you guys, because if I'm in the job market, right, Francina, today, and I get an offer tomorrow and I accept it on Friday, I'm not in the job market anymore, right?
Well, true. There is a thought that you're also not in a job. The day you show up on Monday morning, you're definitely not in the job market in that seat. But no doubt, it is a job seeker market right now, and there's a lot of selection, and job seekers they're overwhelmed with lots of offers. Yeah.
You know what? And we are employers as well. And I could tell you, we are facing a lot of challenges finding the right person. Okay, well, maybe I can't get into it because of HR reasons, but let's just say it's been a challenge. So you have two free resources. Well, you have the free resource of my virtual community, jobfairsin.com. You just contact them, just go onto the website. You could list your, you could punch in all your information for your listing, and definitely take advantage of it. And there's obviously a lot of other job fair boards out there that you want to take advantage of. Now, the first person I want to have a conversation with is Mark. Mark is DigDev Direct. This slide will be included. you know, in the notes, but we're not going to go through this again because we got to get to some work. Now, Mark is handling for us something really cool called geofencing. Now, if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and put it in the comments, and we're going to try to get to all the questions, you know, by the end of the webinar. But has anyone, even on the panel, are you familiar with geofencing?
Yeah, I think I know I was a part of an event weekly and targeting, like I was somewhere and they knew within 1 mile of when I left the building, within a mile, I got some email notification thanking me for being there. And it was very precise. I think that might be what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So Mark, we're going to be using a geofencing campaign coming up in next month. And what we want to do is let me put it this way. We want to advertise to people that are attending an event. So how can geofencing help me do that?
Okay, so in geofencing, what we would do is we would take that specific location of the event and you would tell us what radius you wanted us to target those individuals. So in essence, how it works is you take the specific location and you draw a circle predicated upon the radius of where we are targeting. Now, once an individual walks within that radius, we have the ability of collecting their MAID. It's their mobile ID.
Right.
Once we collect their mobile ID, we then go ahead and target them with ads. They're actually display ads. And we can do this either immediately or we can do it over a 30, 60-day period of time. Typically, most clients are looking for these individuals to be targeted immediately, as well as 30 days. The example that I'll use is we happen to do a lot in the automotive industry. And if client A is a Chevy dealership and there's a Volkswagen dealership that's a mile down the road, they might want to try to get individuals that are at the Volkswagen dealership and hit them with ads to bring them into the Chevy dealership.
Yeah.
So and it's something that we can do and hit them with these ads immediately, with the understanding that this is done through apps. So they have to have an app open on their cell phone. We work with literally hundreds of thousands of different apps. Once they fall within that radius, again, we grab their mobile identification and we will continue to serve them display ads.
Yeah, so those are great points. So they have to first be in a certain location, and then when they open their phone and open up an app, that's when they could be delivered the ad. And I was thinking for a job fair event, how can this be relevant, right? So how do I know where job seekers are going to be? How do I know where to geofence? So some ideas I had is why not target the local workforce office, right? That's where people are going that are maybe unemployed, maybe looking for jobs. How about maybe even community colleges or people that are training, right? Help me out here, Francina, for certain trades.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the zip codes attached to some of the best community colleges, which are going to be, which are a great vehicle for those folks in transition. And like you said, definitely the workforce departments and things of that nature. But, you know, there might even be some non-workforce things like what people love to do, where they live, work, and eat, because what we're finding too, not just those who are unemployed, we have a huge mass exodus or resignation happening. And you've got a lot of folks who are leaving one company to go to another. So those folks aren't at the unemployment office. They're at their jobs. So there's other ways that I think that would be great. Like I said, where I was, and that happened to me, I was at a place that had nothing to do with business, but that pinging within a mile away was really, I was like, that's pretty innovative. I like that. So very creative.
So geofencing a zip code, right? Yeah. And especially if you have an in-person part of the hiring event, you definitely want to do the radius 15, 25 miles from the physical location as well. So we definitely want our attendees to take a closer look at geofencing, and it'll be in the deck. And Mark is your guy for that. And Mark, we're going to also talk a minute about email marketing. Your company does a tremendous job here. Why are you so effective, Mark? Emails, I get 100 a minute, right? We all get bombarded with emails, yet the ones that are relevant, the ones that have the right subject line still get opened and still convert at the bottom of the funnel. So how do you guys do it?
Sure. Well, for us, it's all about what's called first-party data, meaning the individuals that are in our database, of which we have 250 million consumers and we have 85 million businesses have actually opted into us.
Yeah.
So in the opt-in process, they've given us permission to send out email campaigns on our clients' behalf. And we do this in what's called a white label format, meaning when the campaign goes out, it actually looks like it's coming from our client. The opt-out, which we're required by law to put in, is our opt-out. These individuals have been with us for so long that they expect certain offers from us. We happen to do something very special. We send out surveys to these clients on a regular basis because we want to find out the things that are going on in their lives. Are they looking for a job? Are they looking to purchase a new car? Are they looking to go to school? Whatever it may be. We send out literally hundreds of thousands of surveys on a monthly basis. And we scrub our data every 30 days.
Wow.
So if a company is looking to target a certain individual, and I'll go back to the car example, is looking to target an individual who over the last 3-4 days has expressed an interest in purchasing a car, we have that data. And then what we do is we take this data and we build a custom audience for our clients based upon exactly who they're looking to target. We have over 400 different demographic, lifestyle, and ailment selects on each individual that's in our database. And we utilize a multi-channel, multi-touch approach, whereas we'll go ahead and we'll touch these individuals 1 or 2 times by email. And then we'll go ahead and retarget them. So we take all of the individuals who either opened up the email or went to a landing page, and we'll go ahead and serve them ads for an additional 21 to 30 days post-email deployment.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I mean, as a marketing director here, I'm super challenged with what they call hygiene, like list hygiene, right? And when someone does open, they get a different message. You know, just sending email blasts, the reason why you're not being very effective, if that's your only strategy, that's not going to be very effective. So a company like Mark's really helps us to kind of drill down, you know, refine the list. Like he says, they're scrubbing it every 30 days. And keeping the quality of your list high is super important. Before we close with Mark, I just want to say we added an opt-in on our website for Tech Tuesday newsletter, my little Tech Tuesday. In 1 month, we've had 2,500 people opt in, 2,500 people. I just want to say this, the only thing you own is your email list. Your opt-in email list. That's really the only thing you own. You don't own the Facebook page. You don't own the LinkedIn profile. The day they want to shut you down, they'll shut you down. You own that email marketing, list that you opt in. So find ways, be creative, offer something on your website that they could opt in for. I can't stress that enough. You want to really create your opt-in list and then work with companies like Mark and like John for email marketing. Mark, you put together a little special offer for us. This will be in the download again that I'm going to send, but there's 2 packages, so starting at $600 to do a geofencing campaign. Obviously everyone has a different budget. Investing in your event is something that we're talking about here, that you need to do. If you can't, that's fine. We're going to find, shoestring ways to do things. But if you can, these are very reasonable prices. And Mark put this together just for this offer on the webinar. So thank you, Mark, for doing this for us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Mark, you're welcome to stick around. We're definitely going to take some Q&A at the end, but we're going to move on to Krista and Engage by Sell. So Krista, if you want to tell us a little bit about first what the platform does, and then we'll talk about how it's been integrated for these events.
Sure, absolutely. So our platform offers 2 solutions. You see them right there on the screen. Essentially, we have a 2-way text messaging platform. 2-way text messaging, kind of like you were saying with the email, it allows a user to opt in based off of a unique text-in number and keyword. So this allows you to advertise your texting program within your local community, so people can opt in to receive information, whether it's about job openings, hiring events, anything that they deem valuable to them. We also offer the ability to offer multiple keywords, so you can segment your text message lists. So you can segment them based off of industry, geographic location. So that way, again, the goal is to keep things really targeted. Our text messaging also allows you to upload a user contact information. So we work with a lot of workforce development agencies in addition to educational clients, corporate enterprise, but a lot of our workforce development clients will upload what's called like a UI list, or the list of people receiving unemployment benefits to advertise their hiring events. So I'm sorry, go on, John.
Yeah. So in English, right? We're able to text how many people in one shot?
You can text an unlimited number of people to advertise your hiring events. And the key is to build up that awareness prior to. I know that Premier Virtual has that reminder text message built in to their platform, but where we see a lot of success with our mutual clients is where they are using text messaging to create engagements prior to these events and really market and advertise prior to, and then use that to remind people to register, to attend. So really kind of a no-brainer as far as why you want to use that.
Would you also text message, let's say a new employer signs up to the event, it's a Tesla. Would you send a text message and say, hey, Tesla's going to be part of this hiring event?
You can. So I think where you would want to do that again is if you have like different lists based off of maybe certain job types that people are looking for. So I think best practices with text messaging is to keep it personal, keep it engaging. So with texting, you do have 160 characters, but if you have people that are interested in manufacturing or automotive or anything, any job function that maybe Tesla is offering, you could certainly text those people, advertising, they'll be at this hiring event. Even send them a link to more information about the positions that are open or how to register for the event.
Now, these phone numbers are something that the client has to already have. They don't get a list.
That's a great question. So there's two ways someone can subscribe to the text messaging list. Now, if you have like contact information, you can certainly upload that into the dashboard through an Excel file. But then, as I was mentioning earlier, you also have a unique keyword and text in number. So you can see right here on the screen, like if you wanted to see an example of how it worked, you could text in demo workforce 56512. That keyword could be unique to your organization, and essentially someone could opt in, join your list, and then receive information about hiring events or job postings or really updates in general. So they can self-enroll or you can upload that information.
Okay, you just really enlightened me there, because so it's actually a tool to get people to opt in using text message as much as it is a text messaging tool.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we like to tell people you need to, it's an engagement tool. I think text messaging people can be wary of text messaging, because maybe they associate it with spamming, or they don't fully understand all the legal ins and outs. But really and truly, best practice says you want people to opt in. Because if they're opting in, then they're looking for a job, they're interested in your organization, or they find your information, valuable. They want to receive alerts.
Yeah, I love it. So on the flyer, I have Job Fair Miami, right? Text
right.
And then this person's now opted in, and they could get messages about the event, obviously the reminders. And one thing Krista and I once in a previous webinar spoke about is how your tool is like the bus that drives them to the
Yes.
event, right? It has that relevancy. They're going to see it much more than they're going to see an email, because everyone sees the text message, even though we pretend sometimes we don't.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Text messaging has like a 98% open rate, and those are typically open within 2 minutes. So it's almost an instant guarantee.
Thank you, Krista. I can't tell everybody in this call how important this is. You know, text messaging, it's kind of the evolution, you know, virtual events and virtual events, it's the evolution of staffing. This type of tool is really the evolution of communicating with not just this generation, really any generation. So, so thank you. And you do have an offer also, waiving a new client setup fee.
Yes.
So anyone that's on this webinar that reaches out to Krista can take advantage of that. So thank you, Krista. And we're going to move on to John and Ray at Think Big Websites. John and Ray handle all of our Google ads and a lot more. And they've just made it, it's an art form. I mean, people who do this really, it's so enlightening and so refreshing that it's not just seeing what works or what doesn't work. You know, in marketing, it says 50% of my advertising works. I just don't know which 50% it is, you know, and with what the John and Ray do, they make it very clear what works. So with that intro, John, what we want to talk about briefly is just setting up a geo-modified or a local Google campaign, because how, you know, if someone can put a small investment into something like this, we want to show how to, you know, how quickly it can make a difference and make a return.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the examples that I put in here, I just use my own hometown, Phoenix, Arizona. So these numbers can be up or down a little bit based on wherever you're located, but also keep in mind, one of the valuable things about Google and Facebook is you determine your own budget. So if you're in a bigger city, you can spend more. If you're in a smaller city, you can spend less. But these types of cost per clicks pretty much are across the board what you can expect. You know, $1.03 for job fair near me, or up to $1.84 for upcoming job fair. Those things vary up and down. But what's really
John,
important,
let me ask you, would you say those are low rates or on the higher end of you know, keyword rates?
So those are on the low end of what you can potentially spend on Google AdWords. And like John was saying a second ago, it is a bit of an art form finding that right sweet spot. Because you don't want to overpay for clicks. If you can see on the screen there, some of those have a high end of almost $13.50, whereas on the low end, it's $1.10. But both of those bids are at the very top of Google's page. So that's the top of page bid range. So you can easily overspend if you're not careful and if you don't set it up the right way. So one of the things that we focus on is making sure that you end up in the sweet spot without ever having to overpay for those clicks to get the most out of your budget.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge, right? I could spend $1.10, and Francina wants to be at the top as always, top of the list. So she spends $13.58. Yet we're actually both showing up at the top of the search results. So that is huge. I mean, so for a budget of $500, you can reach quite a bit of people. Now, here's the thing, right? Obviously, when we want information, what do we all do? We Google.
We go to Google.
Right? So if I'm looking for a job or a job fair and I Google it, you know that I am the one looking for it, right? So these are the people that are, you know, you're trying to get to your event. Well, this is where they are. And so John, you know, put this together. And so what kind of budget do you think? I didn't say this at the beginning, but what we do recommend is that you promote the event 3 weeks out, because of the relevancy of an in-job market person, right? So more than 3 weeks is probably too much of a time. And most of us don't have that kind of forward planning anyway beyond the 3 weeks. So what kind of budget, John, are you saying can be an option here?
So what we set this up as for the examples purpose and what we think is a good number to start at is a $500 ad spend.
Okay, sorry to jump around. No, I'll stay. Okay.
Yeah, you can stay on this page now. That $500 ad spend, depending on what keywords you're targeting and where you're targeting, should result in at least 350 clicks, up to 400 clicks to your website, which is going to have very high search intent. There's a big difference between somebody who just searches job openings near me and job fair near me. one of those has significantly more intent that that person is looking to attend a job fair. It can even get more specific of manager job openings near me and things like that. So making sure that you understand who your employers are, what job openings they have, and setting up your keyword strategy around that is very important. But up to 400 clicks of people who are high intent that are looking to attend a job fair, they're obviously looking for a job. We can assume that they're going to be very likely to convert because this is an urgent task that people have.
Yeah.
And for $500, getting between 20 to 40 additional registered attendees, you know, some job fairs are huge, and some job fairs, you know, 40 employee or 40 more attendees could be a massive jump in how many people are actually attending. That's the real value with Google, is that you're targeting people based on exactly where they're located, and you can be very specific with search intent to find the right people.
Yeah, we didn't mention, did we, the geo modification like on this? And that just means what, John? Like just
You can target people by county, by city, by zip code, or even by radius. We can select specific neighborhoods you want to target and do a specific radius around those. So making sure that you're targeting people based on where the job opening is really important. Also, targeting people based on where they live is very important.
That's excellent. I'm just looking at the chat. I appreciate, you know, Krista and our panelists answering questions on the chat as we keep talking, because we just, you know, we're just going to keep moving. But if we do get to some questions that we could share at the end, we definitely will with the panelists. But let's go on, John, then to Facebook. So I would guess after Google, probably Facebook or social media are the most common go-to that people have as far as getting information. So, you know, we use Facebook here as an example, but LinkedIn is obviously, for Francina's purposes, you know, LinkedIn is that golden nugget because it's probably someone working, but they're not at their optimal job, right? How did you explain that, Francina?
Yeah, exactly. Now, LinkedIn is a secret sauce. I mean, I'm loving even how you all use LinkedIn even to promote this. But yeah, we have job seekers and changers sitting on, I mean, this is a gold mine for you all, but how we reach out with high touch and high tech is what's really important in getting them to show up at the virtual events.
Yeah. The good thing about LinkedIn, right, John, it's very similar in the back end to what Facebook, you know, to set up the ads and the keywords and all that. So again, I'll let you get into the
yeah,
Facebook.
very much so. And a lot of people get wandering eyes, even when they're at their own job, they're still kind of looking around for what's out there. So to her point, that's absolutely true. This example, again, based on Phoenix, and it's based on a very large area. This audience that I'm about to show you is really big. This is based on people who have recently shown interest in job hunting, job interviews, or resume building. And I've just got it selected as 25 miles around Phoenix and all ages, which is really important based on discrimination purposes. But if you want to go to the next slide for me, John, thank you. That audience itself has over 150,000 people in it. So again, we can narrow this significantly. We can narrow it based on exactly where you are, where your offices are, where the events, you know, where the employers are located. And
so let me ask you though, why would I want to limit?
What's that?
Why would I want to limit it? Why would I want to reduce that size?
If we're going to be targeting 1,500 people over the course of just 3 weeks, we're going to have to spend a lot of money in order to reach all of those people, versus if we narrow the audience down to where we're really just hitting that sweet spot of our very specifically defined audience, we should be able to reach a large portion of them within 3 weeks and have a couple of touch points during that time. Frequency is just as important as reach. We want to make sure that we're not just showing somebody that there's a job fair coming up only one time. We want to hit them 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that was kind of a trick question, because you could put a $500 budget, right? But if you're reaching 500 people one time, it's not going to be very effective. So the point was to make that circle smaller, because if I'm reaching 1,500 people that I still know are job seekers, have all the criteria, but I could reach them 3 or 4 times, that's much more effective.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, John. And you guys put together a nice little couple packages here. You want to just...
Yeah, and you guys, everybody that's watching this should get access to the webinar and have the slides so you can quantify what comes from both of these types of platforms at the bottom, and estimate, a 5 to 10% conversion rate. So, kind of from click to registered attendees, what $500 actually can generate for you. These two platforms, just to give one last thing, work extremely well together. By having a 3-week approach, targeting people on Facebook gives you a lot more reach and a lot more awareness, which is going to drive people to go to Google, where they want to go and do that search intent driven activity. And that's where we want to make sure your event shows up for people who are aware and showing intent of wanting to attend a job fair.
Yep, absolutely powerful. And I want to give you guys a freebie that I do with all my events is I put the event on Facebook, right? Facebook has events, and so does LinkedIn. I don't know if you know, but LinkedIn has an event page. So because I did that for free, Facebook reached another 400 people, and I had another 8 people registered to this event. And LinkedIn reached only about 50, but it actually added another 10 or 12 people, because again, it's the professional, it's everyone that, and using keywords when I set up the page really helped. I can't even count how, there's hardly anybody doing this, and I don't understand. These are free tools. Don't just put the Premier Virtual, login on your advertising. On your Facebook, you can have the tag, right, that takes them right to the registration page, and same thing on the LinkedIn. Francina pointed out that, we put a post on LinkedIn today. Sometimes I drive them to the LinkedIn registration page and just have the information there. Sometimes people just want to stay within the same platform. So those are free. I mean, this stuff that we just spoke about here is super vital, but having an event page on Facebook and LinkedIn is just, it's just a must do. So I'm going to talk to Cindy next. And before Cindy starts, I just want to say this is one area that can blow up your event, right? The press release that's done right, that gets picked up by the right media outlet, is absolutely priceless. You can never pay for exposure on the nightly news. You can never, Francina's on the news a lot. She has a show, and she's the expert, and they invite her on the news a lot. And it's how we met. We met because I saw her video online about talking about, virtual career fairs. So this is super important. Cindy does this for us on a daily basis. So Cindy, welcome to the webinar. And I just I love the 3 bullet points that you put as far as best practices. So I guess kind of getting right into it, I do a press release. Usually it's who, what, where, when, and why, right? Because editors are busy and they just need to get the bullet. But you use a 3-second, attention grabber. So tell me a little bit about that tactic and how that works. Oh, you're muted, Cindy?
Oh, I was muted just, okay.
Sure.
Hi, thank you so much, John. And I was just gonna say kudos to Premier Virtual. I've learned a lot already on this webinar from the other vendors, and I'll be reaching out to them. So it's awesome. And I feel like the other thing to remember is that a lot of these things you can do on your own with a small budget and with public relations. Obviously I've been doing it, my team's been doing it for 20 years, but at the same time, there are some best practices that you can implement. And as John said, 30 seconds, there's statistics, and this goes for email marketing too. You have just a few seconds to grab the media's attention. So what you want to do, I'm just going to share a few best practices, is make sure that you're researching who you're reaching out to. One of the, I'm going to say beauties of COVID, even though it's been a horrible thing, but one of the beauties is that, from the job fair perspective, this is really newsworthy. People want to hear from experts that are providing jobs to communities. That's what they need right now. People are out of work. People are suffering. This is a really incredible opportunity from a newsworthy perspective to get the word out about your business, your career fair, and how you're helping the community. So I would just suggest fine tuning your pitch and also your headline. And what I always recommend is, reach out to your top tier people, make sure you're, as I said, researching them, and you're not sending, someone that writes about technology, something that is about, hiring. So make sure you're reaching out to the right person, and also try different headlines. You don't have to always, when you're pitching, it's a press release that could be distributed on the wire, but you could also do it manually for free, sending it out, and become that relationship, build that relationship with your local reporters, with your local journalists, with your local TV anchor, producer, etc. So, and by the way, they appreciate when you are providing them with tools that are really newsworthy and everything's there for them. So that's just something to really keep in mind. Finding your hook, focusing on quick points of interest. Again, make sure that it's relevant to the person that you're reaching out to. I always like to say, do some research in regard to what they cover or something that they covered recently, because that helps to build a rapport with the person that you're reaching out to. So you could say, I read your recent article, or I saw your recent piece on whatever it is. And then, it starts, breaks that wall down and shows them that you've actually have seen and heard and listened to what they've said. And so that, again, breaks the ice. And then you can wrap it into why your information is relevant to what they report about. So those are some things, again, just staying laser focused on what your message is in the first part of your press release. There's press release distribution services that are very inexpensive. We can go into that a little bit. I don't know, John, how much time I have, but again, defining short-term and long-term goals, internally, so that you know who to reach out to and where you're reaching out to. Those are the types of things I think that, just as a team internally, making sure that if you have a limited time and a limited budget, that you're targeting those outlets that are really going to give you the highest ROI.
Yeah.
But of course, I agree with John. I mean, those are the types of things, that earned media has so much value, adds credibility, loyalty, builds brand trust for your organization.
Yeah, I definitely want to reiterate what you started off with. You're not bothering these editors with this press release. When you're hiring, when you're hosting an event where employers are at, it's probably 1, 2, or 3 after, unfortunately, probably the bad news and that happened that day. But it's probably going to be the third most important thing they could talk about, especially in today's time, is job creation. We all know that employers are having a hard time hiring. There's been a lot of shifts in the workforce. I mean, it's probably, Francina could speak more to this in a minute, but the most challenging time that we've had on both sides, from the job seeker to the employer. So the news is, they're ready for that information. And, I do help most of our clients with some basic, press release stuff. And I just think if you don't have a communications manager and everything else we've spoken about here, start here. Start with your press release. Everybody should be on a first name basis with your local newspaper, TV, and radio. You guys in your local town, there's 10 people. There's one at the newspaper, a couple radios, and a couple TV. Here's one that I even like to suggest. Invite them to have a booth for free if you're charging at the event. Send out some goodwill. Whether you like the media company or not is irrelevant. If they mention the event, it will change. It'll completely change, the dynamics of that event. So I do recommend, as part of rapport building and knowing these people and being relevant, invite them to have a booth. It's not going to compete with your job openings, most likely, it's media jobs or sales jobs. So try that. I've been recommending that, and for a few of the people that have done it, they have seen a significant difference. In Virginia, our biggest event that we powered had 15,000 job seekers, people. So the reason why, it was a statewide event and the news picked it up, and it was 350 employers. This is the other thing. Every employer that's part of your event, every single one of them, ask them, I want to see your press release. Imagine if every employer at the event also did a press release, right? It's almost impossible that somebody doesn't pick it up. So you have those tools too. Cindy, you also have a nice offer here that you included.
Oh, yeah. So, yes, I think John will be sending this out. I just thought you might want some additional best practices tips. We can talk, and myself or someone on my team, just to give you some guidance to get the ball rolling. And again, like John said, one of the silver linings with what's happening right now in the job market is that it is very newsworthy. Employers need employees, and employees are looking for jobs. So I feel like it's in a way a really incredible opportunity from a newsworthy perspective.
Yeah, definitely take advantage of that consultation with, and there's also ways to buy media lists, and I'm sure Cindy can help you with that as well if you did want to send it out on your own. But these are all super important. But I definitely like Cindy's quote: if you have only a certain amount of dollars left in your budget, a proper press release and pushing it to the media is where you should really make your investment. So thank you, Cindy. I would like to turn to Francina, who, again, we met because she's a superstar. She's on television. She's an author. She's a speaker. And what I really was so attracted is that she's dealing with the job seeker, like all the rest of us are dealing with, the host and the employer and the marketing and all this. But we weren't hearing from the end user, the person that's going online and going through the stress of virtual, events. And is it worth it? Are they getting results? Is it engaging, right? So I reached out to Francina because she's getting those stories firsthand. And part of what I want to talk about with Francina is when you host an event, if you can say that you have a professional career coach that will be available and a professional resume review service, guess what? I think I'd be much more attracted as a job seeker to be part of that, than that not being, something that you're promoting. So Francina, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. Thank you. And absolutely, it's about added value. So a couple facts I'm sure all of you all know, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but as of the Department of Labor last month, 9 million jobs are open. It's a job seeker market. And here's what the end user that John was just saying, this is what they're looking for post-COVID. So if your job fairs, your virtual job fairs are having added value to meet this, you're already in the winning position. They want sustainable, maintainable, and meaningful work. As one of our other panelists said, COVID was not a great thing, but it gave that end user, the career changer and the seeker an opportunity to rethink work altogether. So as your career engineer, and our motto is simply this, is don't get anxious, get prepared. And what we're finding, we want our clients, the career seekers and changers, to get that. But obviously the small businesses and the employers I know right now kind of anxious right now too. So here's a way I think that you can get prepared. And in addition to being a wonderful partner with Premier, who's doing some awesome things, by the way, some things that can add value in terms of having a career coach or someone like the career engineer, which is me, as a part of your virtual career fair. So and what folks are, the career seeker is looking for recruiting tips and tricks. The person that's unhappily employed or underemployed that is looking for another job that could be working for you right now, they're looking for retention tips and tricks, keeping and coping. It's more than just getting a job. It's about keeping and coping with one. And COVID-19 and life after COVID-19 taught us that. So we have, and John will share, there's a special that we're offering for our workshops, but we can be customized and work out. There are a couple of ideas that I've used actually with offline job fairs. And as John knows, I love virtual job fairs. In fact, on my LinkedIn, I'm going to go ahead and put that television segment that we did about the power of virtual job fairs, how I believe they're here to stay. So we've done things called like the TCE Career Cafe, right? Virtually, because I love networking. I love being the center of attention. Can you tell? Okay. So we have we'll do an ongoing live lounge with networking tips, resume tips, all this kind of stuff, and motivation. So as the folks are popping in through the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour job fair, we're there being their cheerleader to help them to get in front of you to look better. John talked about resume reviews, but there's also LinkedIn reviews. So there's ways to do that before or after or during the job fair. And the afters, like if there's incentives for people who have shown up at the job fair and were totally engaged, there's some incentives for that. I've also, I think once folks have attended the entire job fair and things, there are, discounts and special offers for those who've attended, so that LinkedIn profile can be a wow and not a won't. So those resumes, can be a wow, not a won't, and as well as what we call re-careering your career strategy. There's a pre-COVID world and there's an after COVID world. And let me tell you, in 15 months, how we do what we do has changed. Similar to what Cindy was talking about, the whole getting in front of news media. I have been a very busy bunny because of this. All right. So every week since, I mean, I've been on TV for a lot before, but it's been a weekly and daily because hiring and keeping staff and finding new staff is always a constant conversation. So we also do YouTubes and things, and we love interviewing employers who will share with us why your experiences is something that's going to showcase sustainable, maintainable, and meaningful work experiences. Yeah. So yeah, that's an added value as well that we can also, within the scope of what we do, can help you to show that how high touch you are with your staff and not just high tech, which we know we need both. We need both. Time
out. Yeah. I mean, so didn't I tell you guys, Francina's amazing? I mean, in just 1 second, like, what if an hour before your event starts, you're offering, right, you know, the career engineer? You'd have everybody logged in, ready before the event. They're getting all, you know, cleaned up and looking good and ready to interview. Video interviewing tips is another. I think that's the one that I think I saw you on. So if, you know, Francina can't do every event, but if you can have this, the other cool idea is why doesn't the career coach, let's say that's part of your event, do a short video, like kind of
absolutely.
Yeah, and explaining some of the services or some of the topics that they can expect when they come into the networking lounge, which, by the way, Premier Virtual 2.0 has a networking lounge. So
I love it.
So I may have put Steve in trouble right now, but
and also what I'll add too, I know that you guys are a veteran company, which you know I love. And I know Steve, I think, said he was Army Green. This is Navy Blue right here. So retired Navy spouse. Just had to plug that in. That's all I have. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. I mean, that's my favorite spot to connect. And again, thank you for the opportunity. But having a career coach or that type of service before, during, and after is a great added value. And that's what these folks are looking for now. Because it's not just about hiring or getting folks to show up. You want the right talent in your spot, not just any talent. You want the right one. So
that is huge. I mean, because you said that unhappily employed is looking. It's much easier for them to attend a virtual career fair. You have much more chances to reach them. We do encourage hybrid. I've been seeing people that no, we're going back to in person, and I'm like, I mean, why go through all the pain of just in person? You're not hurting yourself one iota by adding hybrid, by keeping it virtual. The people that are going to come in person are going to come in person. Today's workforce wants remote working opportunities. If you show that you're a company that can hire remotely, think about that. You're also differentiating yourself from all these other employers that may be competing for that same, for that same candidate.
Absolutely. In fact, we're finding folks are quitting because of lack of hybrid or remote opportunity, and that's your best talent. So
I just I read, or it was NPR, but people aren't just not happy-go-lucky going back to the office. It's not like, oh, office is open, we're going back. No, they want a reason why I need to do what I did for 12 months at home, probably better than I ever did in the office, and why I need to go back to the office. Absolutely. So employers on this call, these are all things you're probably very aware of. These are people that can help us, put on more successful virtual events. There's no doubt that as unemployment rates go down and it's harder to find people, this tool is even more important, right? Because the best part of this tool is the ability to reach a bigger audience and more, like Francina said, the right person. And the only way to get that right person is to reach more people. I mean, right? I mean, that kind of makes sense. So I want to thank all of our panelists. I think today was super awesome. I know it was a lot. If you're still on this call, there's 72 people on here. So we did you guys did a great job. It was a ton of information. So here's the plan. I'm going to send everyone the deck with all of the information for today. It will have all of the contact information from our panelists and also the offers. If you want help from any of the panelists, you'll contact them directly. You don't need to go through Premier Virtual, whether you're a client or not. Also, in our welcome kit, we are putting all of our panelists' links in our welcome kit for all of our new clients, for all of our clients, I should say. So what we're trying to do really is just create a network that's going to help, again, you guys maximize your budget, maximize your return on investment, have successful events, and keep moving this needle forward and this technology forward. We do just have maybe a few minutes if there is any questions, or I'll just throw it out there if anyone has any closing remarks or any. If not, I do again want to thank everybody. I guess we'll wrap it up, and I appreciate Krista, everyone else who was in the chat and answering questions. I'll just leave it with this. We are looking to spin off probably a webinar a month just on marketing. So the goal is just a PR webinar, you know, just a Google Ads webinar, because all of these things we covered today really can be their own, you know, they are each their own animal, and they are each, you know, really that important that you really need to spend some time with each of them. So we'll ask for some feedback in the emails that we send out. We want to thank everybody again for spending Tech Tuesday here with us, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.